Okay, we have some 5 people here who joined. Okay, and the topic is a little bit typical for practitioners today. So I'd like to know a little bit about the people who are here. Arun, Kanika, Sindhuja, you guys are students, lawyers, practitioners, working somewhere. Can I know a bit about you guys? On gap. Okay. So by gap, I mean, I think you mean a sabbatical, right? You're on a sabbatical. Okay. What about Arun? Kanika? Practicing in Bangalore. Okay, great. Kanika? Are you working? Are you a lawyer? I'd like to know so that we can deal with it accordingly. The topic is very much practitioner based today, but it can be helpful for even for students who are looking to maybe independently practice right after they're done with their studies. So that's what it's about, and it's like more on what are the kind of issues or objections you can face, okay, with clients. So what will you face, like if you're looking to initiate your or start a new practice? What are the kind of objections or let's say obstacles you will face if you want to get through to the clients, get work, get paid? So what will happen or what is likely to happen, and how to deal with that, how to deal with those objections, right? So that's exactly what the topic for it is today. Let me share my slides and then we can quickly have a look at what kind of objections are going to be faced. So there we go. So, how to handle objections that a potential client will have while giving you work? So, before anything, we're going to do what are the objections that are likely to be faced, right? Just give me one sec. I'll just stop this so that we don't have the distracting noise in the background. Okay, so we're going to look first at what are the objections that the clients will have, and then in the next part we'll look at what exactly is the reasons why they come up with these kind of objections or issues. Okay, so they may be telling you something, but there may actually be something else which is the reality behind why they are raising these kinds of objections. Okay, so you have to kind of step into their shoes to think about what is the reason why they are behaving like that. Okay, and then we are going to talk about how to deal with that. Okay, and how to ensure that you don't face these kinds of objections. Okay, or if you face, then how to deal with that. Okay, that's what we are going to talk about today. So let me move. Now, irrespective of whether you are a fresher or you have been in practice for some years, there'll be some objections you are going to face from the clients as a given. Okay, and this will happen even if like you have been in practice from quite a few years, but you are entering into a new territory and you are looking at new types of clients, new clients. Okay, you can of objections. So it's not that just someone who's started off as a practitioner, okay, will face these kinds of objections. Even people who have been working for a while are likely to face these kinds of objections from clients who are new, okay, who are not really aware about them, or if they are working in a different territory and now they are looking to diversify into something else, they can face these kinds of objections as well. Okay, just to give like my background is I started off with a practice of my own. So certainly, like once I qualified, I started with my independent practice. Okay, then I ventured again into in-house roles, and then again into a partnership with someone, and then again, like, back to being a co-founder of a company. So like I've kind of moved in all different spheres, but I began with an independent practice of my own. So I have kind of been exposed to some objections or issues like this, okay, which clients would raise. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Okay, so as I said, we'll look at the objections, see where they stem from. Okay, what is causing this? What's causing this kind of behavior? And then we will deal with this. So when you approach clients for work, you are approaching, like, you may be, and it may not necessarily be solicitation or something, but if you were approaching, if the approach is from your side, maybe for different purposes, for something else, and you are getting some work, but this can be some objections that your clients will have. You seem to be just a fresher. Okay, so will you be able to do this work? Okay, uh, practicing as an advocate is one thing. Even if you are not, you are just into, like, some business, and you are looking for customers, or you are looking for clients. Okay, let's say you have a consultancy company and you're looking for clients, but anywhere the main issue will be that people will not um, trust someone who's really a fresher. That kind of issues can come. Okay, although there should not be a difference just because of years of age. If someone is capable of doing that work equally well, then they should be trusted. But this thing will arise, okay, that there will always be a hesitation from a client side to say that you're just a fresher. Are you going to be able to do this work? That's the first thing, or the issue that can arise, that are you going to be able to do this work, right? Anyone has any questions on this point, or are you guys looking to get into are you guys looking to let's say practice at a later point of time somewhere on your own? Anyone has any doubts on this, that should not be the case, or this is not a different view on this? Anyone has a different view on this? I see more people have joined. Are any of you practitioners here, the new people who have joined? How many of you have faced these objections, that people kind of do not trust because you don't have a lot of years behind? Dipankar has faced this. How many of you face these objections? It's just a lack of trust because, like, there aren't many years that are behind. Yeah. So you can face this kind of objections, like that you seem to be just a fresher. Okay, then are you going to be able to do this work? Like, yeah, I'm not sure, should I give for you? So for starters, that can arise. Even for practitioners who have been in one area and they are venturing into another area, if you are approaching a new client, okay, who has not been in touch with you, then there can be trust issues. Although it will not be in so many words that you are a fresher, but still at the back of the mind, the thing is, why should we trust you? Okay, so that is one thing that you, so this is one another point that will be there. Have you done this work for other clients before? Because let's say I will say that I am working on the side of corporate law, and now I'm talking to a client and I'm telling, like, or having a discussion for some work which is related to taxation. So they have a tax issue. Okay, and if you say that you will be able to do that work for them, okay, then the question is, again, there will be a credibility issue, that you have always been in this area. So have you done this work for other clients before? That kind of issue can arise. Okay, because they recognize, or they kind of relate you with one type or one side of work. So this kind of question can be there in their minds, that have you done this work for other clients before? Okay, this is one question that can arise. People senior to you tried it but couldn't do much. How will you do this? This is something I have faced. Okay, I have faced this with one unlisted public company, and like I even vividly remember that scene. He was giving me the file, and he was saying that there are two people who have like gone through this, and they have made a mess of things. So like, I'm giving you this. I don't know what they have done in this, because they made a mess of things, and like, they couldn't get the thing sorted. So, and they were both senior to you. So now how are you going to be able to do this? Okay. So this is one objection that also you can face, that people senior to you tried this, but they couldn't do much. And how are you going to solve this problem? And this is another thing that, many entities have. There can be entrepreneurs who are smart, and they actually think that like they are capable of managing a lot of things. Okay, so they will be in the zone that we may be able to handle this ourselves. Actually, we don't need a lawyer for this, and many of them will be like, what is a contract? Like, you just take and you get it done, and you sort it by yourself. What's too huge to draft in an employment agreement? They'll say that I have signed employment agreement myself for my previous employers. I will just take a draft of that, and I will use that for my purposes. So what is new that you can bring as a lawyer? No, I don't need a lawyer for this. This is also something that can be in the mind of, entrepreneurs or businessmen who are clients. Have you faced this? Have you guys faced this? We don't need a lawyer for this. Anyone has come across this? The belief of, like, the person that for this a lawyer is not required. In fact, I remember one specific case where other advisors tell the client that what is a big deal about this? You don't need a lawyer for this. One case specifically, a chartered accountant just sitting like, a couple of tables away from me on with my client, and telling that you don't need a lawyer, you don't need for this. It's a very small company. What do you need a lawyer for? Like, for this, that chartered accountant is advising the client like this. So there can be other professionals that they are associated with, and they will tell the client that, you don't need a lawyer, you don't need for this. You're too small a company, you're too small, you're a startup, you don't need to pay someone for this. Okay, this kind of situation can arise for you. Now, if they have work and they are willing to consider you for completing this work, okay, so let's say that you have crossed this barrier of them just not signing you off completely. Okay, they are thinking at the back of their mind, they are thinking, they are considering that okay, maybe this person can do the work. Okay, this has got, you have been able to get this through to them. Okay, you have crossed one step forward. Then they can have these issues. Another lawyer offered to do this for 50% of the price. So, if they ask you the fees and you tell them something, then this is what they'll tell you, that another lawyer or another person just said that we'll do this for 50%. Like, and what is it that you are looking to charge this for the same kind of work? What's so great about, like, doing this so that the other person charge this and you are asking for it? How many of you face this objection? Another person offered to do this for 50% of the price. How many of you face this? Dipankar, again. Anyone else face this? Not willing to, like, they are also in this zone. Someone else offered to do it for half the cost, right? This is another thing that they will come across. And what do we normally try to do? What do we normally try to do? We try to convince them how we are better, right? That's what we try to convince them. We tell them that okay, he's not doing this, this is what we are offering, this is what we're doing better, we've gone to a better law school, so we do things better and all of that. Okay, so we think about things from our perspective. Okay, and this is what we try to tell them. Okay, and we'll come to see what they are thinking when they come to this, what are they thinking. Okay. And so most often the thing that happens is that we fail to consider that what is going at the back of their mind when they are making this kind of statement. Okay. So they may be speaking the truth that yeah, someone else might have offered them to do for 50% of the price. That is like, that may have happened, it may be true. And or they may be just like, trying to bring or negotiate to bring your fees down. Okay. But why are they trying to do that? Okay. So that is something that, you need to get into and find. We may try, we will just, on the what we will try to do is we'll just focus on ourselves, and we'll come and tell them that this is how I do things better than that person, this is how. And he may not be bothered about that. Okay, so we have to try to find out what goes at the back of their mind. Why are they making these kinds of statements? Why are they telling this? And why are they raising these objections? Okay, so this is what we are going to try to do today. And we are going to try to counter or address that rather than come or like, try to convince the person. We're going to go at the back of their mind and find out what's the root cause and try to deal with that rather than go and convince, how we are better than other people who offer to do that for 50% of the price. Because uh, if we are not addressing their basic issues, it will probably not work. Okay, even if you tell them how you are better, and it may be very visible to you, it will be very visible. Look, it's so obvious how I am better, and how can you not get it? Okay, this is what our perspective will be, but then that is not what that person is thinking, right? Your fee is too high and is beyond my budget. This is another thing that they'll come. So it's not like someone else is there who is comparable, but it's just I can't afford it. It's as straight and clear as that. It's beyond my budget. It's too high, beyond my budget. Okay. Again, this is not something where uh, you try to tell them about the value that you have for them. Okay, you will think of what are they looking for, and then how are you going to give that. So much for just a notice or application or contract. So to them, like again, you have to think from that perspective, that notice, application or contract, to their mind, what is that? For you, you know that, oh my God, if you don't pay attention to such a critical contract, you're going to face problems. You know that, okay? From your side, you know that. But the client is not a lawyer. He's not thinking of it in those terms. He's not thinking it as critical enough, which will create issues for them. Okay. So just think from that perspective. Okay. They have no clue of all of these things. So for them, it is so much for just like, it's 2 pages, like it's 2 pages, 3 pages. So much for that. That's how they're thinking. Okay. Let me talk to my team and I will get back to you. This is a classic. They don't want to spoil relations with you. So they don't want to say and come like, I don't want that, or reduce your price, otherwise I'll run away. They're not going to do that. But they will be just like, this is a sophisticated denial. And I often like to compare this to how parents say, say the standard dialogue is what? We will see. How many of you have encountered there, the students here, the kids? The answer is we will see. And the we will see actually means no, right? Have you faced that? We will see. Okay. So we will see means no, right? But this is what they'll do. Let me talk to my team and I will get back to you. And then they never call back. Okay. They never come back on that. Things have changed internally, so we don't need the services any longer. Something happened in the interim, right? Someone wants to share. Yeah, happens mostly. The we will see. Yeah. So that is saying no, right? Things have changed internally. Things did not change internally. Okay. Actually, things didn't change internally. Something happened in the between the time when like you had quoted, or at the time when you were having this discussion which did not agree or which did not resonate with their psyche, okay, or their objective of getting that work through. Okay? It didn't click, and that's why the things, like, the thing is that things changed internally, so we don't need the services any longer. Something didn't agree. Okay, so you have to take this, like, with an idea that what happened. You might want to replay the things exactly happened. Okay, so this is what you got to do. You place yourself for a while in the client's shoes, and then you think of what is the client looking for. And at that time you think that the client is not a lawyer, he may be an engineer, he may be into some another business, he may be some businessman, they may have variety of backgrounds, but they will not be lawyers. Okay, so they are not thinking the same way as you are thinking. Okay, so therefore you have to get into their mind, you have to put yourself in their shoes and think, what are they really looking for when they when you are talking to them, or when that discussion is happening, what is it that they are seeking. Okay, this is what you have to look for, and we'll go through some of the things here. They may be considering something as just a formality to be completed and may not exactly know what it is about. Okay, so like I just mentioned, an employment contract, fine, I have to give a letter of appointment to an employee. What is a big deal? Okay, like I said, I was an employee, was I going to take my contract and put that here and draft a letter of employment? Was a big deal? I don't know about it. Okay, and the right time to tell them is not at the time when there's a discussion about the fees. That's not the right time. Okay, so they may be considering something as just a formality to be completed, and they may not exactly know what it is about. They may not understand the relevance of it. They may not get a sense of how important it may be. They may not know it. Okay, and they may not also think at that point of time. Okay, they may have just reached out to you because there is some documentation required, which is stopping or halting them for a potential business transaction. This classically happens when someone is looking for some registrations, or someone is looking to get an investment transaction through. Okay, at that time, they just come to you so that, sort all of these 1, 2, 3 out so that I can get my money. That's what their mind is. They will not think that, okay, someone is actually putting a system into my business which may help me and all of those things. Okay, very few entities will have that kind of maturity enough. Their view, okay, this is the entrepreneurs or businessman's view. I need to get this done to get the money, so do that so that I can get the money. Okay, this is how they are. So they may have reached out to you because this is what they are looking for. They want that thing sorted and they want the money. Okay, they might not even know what exactly their problems are. Okay, and you may know that, the problem with them is that this is not there, this is not there, this required to be is not there, this is not there. You can see what kind of legal soup they may fall into, but they don't know, they're not aware of it. Okay, and again, the correct time is not when you're talking about the assignment or the fees. That's not the right time to say that, look, these are the places and you may have problems. That's not the right time. Okay. They might not trust you because the transaction is in question is valuable to them, and they do not want to risk anything. This is another thing that might happen. So, if you have come into contact with them on at a very recent time, okay, they don't know you so well, and the transaction is so valuable to them that they don't want any goof ups in that, and then they are not sure that that's what is going to happen when you are handling the transaction, so they don't want to risk anything. Okay, so their thing is that I can't give it to someone who doesn't have a track record or a background or a credibility, because, this is too valuable and this is too important, and I can't give it to someone who's a fresher. This is what they may be thinking. They may have had an unfavorable experience with the previous lawyer. It can be ignored. Like I told you that I had this, the guy was giving me the file and saying that people have completely messed this up. And what are you going to do? Two people before you completely messed this up. So they have had an unfavorable experience before. Okay, someone took money from them, didn't deliver, someone just ripped them off for something that would have been a very small kind of matter, which, and then they came to know that actually they had been ripped off. Okay, they may have been given wrong advice and they came to know from someone else that this is not the right way to be. Actually someone gave me a wrong advice. So they may have had an unfavorable experience before. Okay, and that may kind of shake their trust. Okay, and they may think that if this is how the people are, then what is this person going to do? So they may have had this kind of situation. Okay, and this it frequently happens. I'm telling you that it's unfortunate, but it frequently happens. There are lawyers, there are practicing professionals who will misguide, give incorrect guidance to the clients in order to be able to get recurring assignments from them. This situation happens. So they may have had that kind of experience which shook their truth, their trust, okay, in lawyers. Now, this is something that you have to remember. If they have reached out to you, the work definitely exists. Okay, there is some work or there is some reason. That's why they have reached out to you. So it's not like, I will check if this work is going to be there. There is work. Only then they initiated the contact or reached out to you. Okay. Now, are you going to give any reason to them not to choose you for the services? That is something that you have to take care of. When they reached out to you, definitely there is work. They have something for which they need legal advice. But are you going to give any reason to them not to choose you? And it is often not just the money. Okay. So we saw these objections that, it's too high for me, or someone else is quoting at 50% of the price, or this is the money that I am not willing to pay. Okay, often it is not just the money that's the case. So they may not, we dealt with all of the other things. They may not be appreciating what is the matter. They may not appreciate that. Okay, and therefore that's why for them the value of that is too low in their minds. Okay, as how they see it. Okay, and if you try to counter any of these things at the point of doing the assignment, or at the point of charging the fees and all, at the back of their mind, you are doing all you are doing so that you can get the fees. Okay, it will not be so much reliable or trustworthy for them at that point of time, because they are seeing that in their view, whatever it is, however true you may be, however right you may be, their view is that you're doing that just so that you can charge the fees. Okay, so at that point of time it is kind of too late to come into that zone. Okay, so when should you do that? Oh my god, I don't know why this stopped. It was not supposed to stop. Let me get some points for you. I think I think I missed the file. Let me try to find it. So what should you do with them so that you do not face these objections? Okay. So the best way to deal with these kinds of objections is that you have to anticipate them before you reach out to the client and handle them even before they arise. I've actually put them down in the points here. Let me share that. Okay. The best way for you to deal with the objections is that you anticipate them before you reach out to a client, and you handle them even before they arise. Okay. So when you reach out to a client, you have to think that these kind of objections are going to come. Okay, they are going to come and they are going to talk about these kinds of objections. Okay, so how are you going to deal with that? You have to prepare way before even you talk about the discussion of the work, or way before you talk or provide them a quote. You have to understand that this objection is going to come. You have to anticipate that they will say someone else is going to do for less. They will say that someone else senior wasn't able to do, so how we are going to be able to do. They will say that you are a fresher, so how can I trust that you're going to be able to do it? You have to anticipate that these objections are going to arise. Even if they don't tell you, they are going to arise in the back of their mind. Okay, so the trust issues are going to arise, and the best way to deal with that is to have someone whom the client trusts refer you to them. If you are able to do this, this is the best way. For example, the client that I just mentioned about, who said that there were two senior people before you who handled this, he actually got referred to by another consultant who had already established credibility with him. Okay, so now their view is that I trust this guy, and if he is referring someone else to me, then that person must be trustworthy. Okay, so that trust issues will be countered if you are able to get around and look at for consultant. Now, this may not happen all the time. You may not have connections like that, but there can be other people whom the client is in contact with and on whom he relies. Okay, or who have already established some sort of credibility with the client. Now if these guys are referring you, okay, then definitely it's a step up that you have, because the client already trusts that person, and therefore they will think that, if this person is referring someone, okay, at least it is worth giving a try. That is what they will think. Okay, so another way is where you have reached out to potential clients way before they need you, and you have offered free services. Okay, this is something that, like, you can always do. Now many people have this kind of objections that if I tell clients, again I explain, and I tell clients I give this thing for free, they're going to expect it as a freebie. Okay, they will expect that this is going to come or this person is going to do. I have had clients come to me for multiple different times. They'll come for different issues, different questions that they have, and I won't charge them. They will come for the questions, I won't charge them. And at one point of time it will be a situation that they may not give me the work, but then they will refer me to someone else, a third person entirely. Okay, and then I'll get fees, like it will be a chargeable assignment for that person. They will even go and pitch my services and tell them that, yeah, worth, it's worth, you pay the person like that, they are worth. I have seen the kind of work that they do. So they may not pay you, okay, but then they will refer someone else, they'll refer another paying client to you. This has also happened to me once, like, completely third party whom I had no contact with, and the client to whom I had given free, free work, drafted free things, given free advices, they referred me to someone else, and they even pitched me for the payment and said, yeah, make the payment, that kind of thing. They negotiated everything for me, just because, like, I did that free work for them. Give me one sec. Yeah, someone has some query here by mistake. Okay. But this is how it happens. So they will even, this guy even went and negotiated my payment with the third party. Okay, to say that, like, you can pay, it's worth. So, and they were getting the services for free. Like, they had asked me numerous times, they had got something drafted, corrected, advices, everything, like, but they went and pitched to someone else and even negotiated my fees on my behalf with the third party. So this is something that can happen. So way before you reach out to people, like, and you have offered free services, there's a credibility that you establish with that person. Okay, and then they may give you work, they may not give you work, they will reach out to someone else and they will, like, do it for you. So free, like, we may feel that okay, what do I have? What I have actually is time and knowledge. I don't have a product which I am selling. So, like, how can I offer my free time or my free advice to someone else? That's the only commodity, or that's the only thing that I have. Okay, but that's where you are looking at it as a commodity. Okay, the more you give some basic issues to someone, the more credibility or a track record you build with them. And you may have given things that are free, which are like, not that much paying. They'll come to you with a much bigger assignment, okay, later on. Always happens, always happens, trust me. People hesitate from providing free advice, free services. um, Never do that. Okay, you have ensured that the client has come across you, your knowledge, insights, and work in some way before you approach them. This is the way that you have credibility, right? Like, if you have, for example, if you are looking for, and I remember again, like, going back to times when the FEMA was newly introduced. Okay, and I was very much interested in that. I was regularly doing a series or a column that was called FEMA Corner, okay, for my journal. And now people were kind of like, if there is something new that is there, she will know. So they will come on the basis of that, because they came across that column or that thing on a regular basis. It was too frequent. It was not like once that it happened and it disappeared. It was too frequent where they came across, that particular point of particular area of law. So then they would establish that, okay, if there is something new here, then because she is doing this on a regular basis, she will definitely be aware of that. I had a different type of experience. Once client asked for drafting a franchise agreement. No fee was agreed to in principle. When the draft was sent, he started finding mistakes. Then only one issue, he attempted to reduce the fee to half amount. Even the payment was received much later, around 2 months after. In these kinds of situations, what should we take steps to protect our interests? Yeah. So you will have clients who are like this also. Okay, who have you have done the work, they will take ages to pay up, like you follow up and they'll take ages of to pay up. I might give you one experience that I had with a client. This was like, a company which was manufacturing glasses, okay, and they were a kind of fashion kind of glasses. So sunglasses and all of the like, they were making that, okay, and I had worked for them like for a good period of time. It was on a retainer basis, and they had come to a situation where, they simply said that, we don't have funds, like we were not going to be able to pay money to you. It's as simple as that. That's how they said, like, we're not going to be able to pay, or we are not going to be able to just pay the fees to you, because we are in a very bad situation and we can't afford, or we can't do that. And after this is after all the work was done for so much period of time, I think close to 6 months. Okay, so after that they are saying that, like, I can't pay the fees and all of that. Now what happened was, they had another entity, they had another company, and I was working with that. And I was constantly working with one middle management person, and I was having discussions with them about, like, their accounting and all of that. I was like, getting involved and talking what they, although I was advising them from a legal side, I was interested in discussions with them on everything, their accounting, taxation. I was talking to the chartered accountant who was handling their accounts and everything. Okay, so what happened was, these guys actually, because I had that kind of relations with the middle level here, who were like, always constantly talking with me, finding something new, or discussing something. These guys went to their management and they said that, like, please make the payment to her. Like, it's value, she's helped us in another things or other things also, like we have been discussing, so they went to the management. Otherwise, like, the client had just kind of said that, we are not going to be in a situation to pay. And that was one fee that I received in kind. Okay, they had another entity which was actually working in retailing wristwatches and something. So they said that, like, you can choose if you want to gift, and like we'll give you some kind of vouchers, so you can choose, and if you want to give someone something or watches, then you can like use those vouchers. So I was paid in kind. Okay, I was not paid in cash, but then the reason why even I was paid in kind was because these two middle guys actually went to the management and said that, okay, like, this is how the situation is. So that's one thing. Okay, so see, this is how, like, you establish credibility with a middle level in this situation, the middle management level. Okay, so in your case, how to ensure the payment? They got the work done. Okay, they ask for drafting franchise agreement. So you have to think of why is he starting to do that and why is he finding the mistake? Okay, what is his business looking at? He is looking to take a franchise from someone else. Okay, and he attempted to reduce the fee to her. There can be clients who will be simply be malicious also. There are all kinds of people in the world. You can't assume that, like, people will be genuine and proper all the time. There will be clients who are malicious also. You'll find those kinds of clients also. You can't avoid that. You can't avoid that kind of experiences from happening. But the point is, if you are batting from their side and if you are talking to them, then what are the kind of issues or problems you are likely to face? Okay, and you are talking about that, you're talking about those issues, chances are there will be less and intention to, like, go wrong with you. Okay, so again, like, in this situation, to protect the interest, to protect your interest, I'll tell you what you have done. If there are clients whom you have approached way before you actually begin to provide the services like this, by giving some free value, some free knowledge, give for free. Like, if you giving initially for a period of time free, now when you go for quoting the services, it's a little bit difficult for them to say no for a payment. Okay, it's going to be difficult for them. So you can't be quoting a rip off price. Of course, you have to make a search of what is the proper or appropriate price for those kind of services in the market, and you have to quote accordingly. You have to think of what is the value that you are giving, and you have to quote. You can't, like, go with the intention that the client is making a lot of money, he can pay, let me take it. That's not how you think. Okay, you have to think that what is the value, and you have to quote accordingly. And if you are clear that your quote and everything is reasonable, okay, and it's you have been working well with a relationship for a while of providing free things, there will be a little bit of hesitation in responding or saying no. Okay, and when that happens, you can say that, fine, give me a certain amount in advance so I can begin my work, I can start, and I can, do or begin the work. I can go ahead with the with whatever is required for your assignment to be completed. You will at that position be in a credibility even to ask for advance. Okay, because over a period of time you have provided free services to them. At the back of their mind there will be this thing that this guy has been helping for me, us for free, and now after that, if they have come to you, then very clearly in their mind you are capable to do this work. Only then they have come to you. Okay, only then they will approach you, because over a period of time you have given free services. In their mind you are capable to do the work. So now you are in a situation because you have established a degree of credibility with them. So you can say that, okay, give me this much in advance so I can begin. I may need to incur certain expenses, but, like, I will get along with this. Just give me some amount like this in advance. You will be able to quote this, because already over a period of time you have built that credibility. So this situation that you face, that people are not making a payment after doing the work, will be reduced to an extent. You can go phase wise and say that I will get this done. Okay, and this is the payment you can make. I'll get this done. This is the payment. But that is also another thing that you have to establish. This is the point that I'm trying to make. You have to ensure that the client is very well informed and aware about what it is that you are doing and what is the problem that you are solving. And you should not exaggerate at that point of time. Okay. So when you are making a franchise agreement for someone, for example, you can show some clauses where you have put in a thought for the client, and you can show them that look and explain it. It may be an entrepreneur, it may be a businessman, it may be an engineer who is completely not aware of the law, but you tell them that look, this is what I drafted in order to protect your interest. Okay, explain, sit them, give 10 minutes and show them that this is the work that you have done to protect, to bet from their side, to protect their interest, to ensure that they get a good deal in that, in the agreement. So it will show that you have thought, you have applied your mind. Okay. And you may think like that they will so show and explain them the work and keep them updated about the progress. So they will not hand over the matter to someone else. They will not do that because you have taken the time to sit down and explain what you are doing. Although you are the lawyer, they may be engineer and they don't understand the law, but you took time to sit down and said that look, these are how these clauses will help you, and this is the care I have taken to do your work. Okay, so do a bit of counseling, do a bit of teaching. Okay, when you are doing drafting work for a client, explain them how you have done something that will be helpful to them. Okay, and that will get them in their mind that okay, this person is definitely, they're not doing a run of the mill work. They are thinking from my side, they are analyzing, and they are ensuring that my interest gets protected. Okay, so this is one very important thing. You should explain what you have done. Most people will be like, I'm the lawyer and he's the business. How is he going to get what I'm doing, or how are they going to understand? But if you sit down and explain what is the strategy or what is the thought line with which you're working, they get it. And they also, more than that, they also get it that you are thinking from their side. Okay. So you have to ensure that they are very well informed about what it is that you are doing, what problem you are solving, and you have taken time to sit and explain them the work, that exactly what is happening. Okay. Doesn't matter if you have to teach them the whole thing and give your whole business thing out to them. They're not going to give away, they're not going to explain that to someone else and get it done by someone else. Okay. You will find out of like, maybe 20 people, one person is malicious and does that kinds of things. For the rest 19 will, you will make sense to them. Does that answer your question, Subhash? So the approach has to be much before you actually, or the credibility has to be established much before you actually reach out to the client. Okay. Build assurance, so they should feel that they can rely on you to give them not only the solution but also some options and clarity about which solution to choose and why you recommend what you recommend. So now this is one question that I faced from one of the students, because in our classes, when we do the courses, we are talking about giving different options to a client and like giving pros and cons and choosing and all of that. Like we were thinking from that perspective. So this girl said that I'm a lawyer, like he will give me the terms and I will draft up a contract for that. Why do I need to do his business for him? And how much will he take my advice on that? Okay, he knows his business. So how much of my advice will he take on that? Okay. But the thing is, if you have thought and if you have given some options to them, and if you have taken the time to explain why you recommend these options, you tell them, give them different options that are available to them, and you tell them which option suits you and why you think that that option suits them. They're very happy that you have given them some choices and pros and cons and recommended something to them. Okay, although you leave the decision to them, they're very happy that you took the trouble to give some choices or options for them. Okay, and you're not just taking on and working on them based on the terms that they have given you. Okay, you are thinking that, oh, instead of this is also an option that's available to you. This is also an option that's available to you. But I recommend this for you because of these reasons. Okay, if you have this dialogue with a client, it will become clear that you have thought of what is available to them for their objective. Okay, it may not be the same transaction. There can be other things which will achieve exactly the same objective that they want to achieve. Okay, so you may give those objectives. It will just prove that you are taking time and thinking for them. Many times lawyers will not have this kind of time. If you give this kind of time, it's something that people really value. Okay, and this is very important. You have to ensure clearly and perfectly aware of what is required to be done and what issues can arise and how are you going to deal with these. Okay, you cannot experiment with the client if you are not aware of how this can be done. Then you cannot be experimenting with a client on, like, let's try this. If it works, it's okay. You can't do. I learned this the hard way because I lost clients. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, so like I took up assignments which I wasn't 100% certain about how to handle. I did that. There came a stage, a hitch in the middle, which I was not able to deal with because I was not very sure in the beginning of how that gets sorted. I lost the client. Okay, they wanted that done in a jiffy. They approached someone else. Okay, so not only for the new area that I tried, okay, I lost them for the previous things that I had also, what I was already advising them on, simply because I lost the credibility with them, right? So I lost the client, right? So that is the thing that, it happens. You can't be experimenting with them. Okay, if you are taking a work, then you better prepare yourself and be aware of what exactly goes into it. Are you, like, you turn the hell over, but be aware of what it involves and what issues are likely to be faced. Okay, whatever you need to do to get aware of that, do that. Okay, so that you will be able to deliver. If you take up work, you don't know how to do it, you are experimenting, and, like, you can't deliver, you will lose them even for the work that you had before. Okay, but after all of this, even if after doing everything like this you don't get the work, don't end the contact with the client. Okay, you don't end up the contact, like, it goes away with them. You still be in touch with them. You can feed them new consultant and copy them and say that, look, this, you bear with me, like, they went to someone else, that's okay, but here is a new thing that I've come across which may be useful for you or even for the new consultant. It increases your value in front of the client incredibly, because now you are not teaching them, you're even teaching their consultant. Okay, so it just increases. They'll not, the thing is, they'll not lose sight of you. Some point of time, at somewhere, either they'll come back or they'll recommend you to someone else. It will pay. Okay, that effort will pay. Now you may be educating another consultant for it, let it be, no problem, but it's a thought that you have put in for the client, for their business. That's what is visible. Of course, make it visible to the client that you're doing that. Don't go to the consultant and teach them how to deliver value to your client without making it visible to the client. So you make it visible to the client that you're doing that. Okay, you're still caring about them despite you didn't get the assignment, despite they went to someone else, you still concerned. Okay, I have done, during my college, yes, I have. In fact, Wahad, I have. And it was not legal work. Okay, it was not legal related work. I used to do billing, I used to do some sort of drafting for someone. I used to do teaching in some cases. Okay, I've done all of that, but it was not legal work. I wasn't doing legal work as freelancing work, but I have done all of these kinds of things. Okay, managing billing for someone, I have done that. Okay, managing research for someone, I have done that, and not legal research. Okay, but research for someone, I have done that. I have taught, and again, not law students, I have taught commerce students about certain subjects. Okay, so I have done these kinds of freelancing things, yeah, in my college days also. So you can do a lot of these kinds of works which are there. It may not necessarily be connected with law, but then these are the people who you have, like, established a contact with, and they will come back to you at some point of time. Problem is I don't have enough contacts, and where I'm working, I'm not doing good work. So that is the thing so you feel like that the work that is coming to you is not good. Okay, but that's not how you work with, So there you can look at 10 different areas which you actually want to work for. Like I said, managing billing for someone, very highly unlikely for a lawyer, but people need reliable people to do this. Okay? You have to find areas where lawyers are not going. Okay? They are not. I don't know of any lawyer who will manage billing for someone else. And this wasn't even a lawyer; he was a management consultant. But I took up him, and he recommended me to someone else, and that person recommended me to a third person, like that. So it is just establishing a contact and going into an area. You manage social media accounts for someone. You make some creatives for someone, write blogs for someone. Okay, there can be all of these different things which you do in order to get, get a contact or establish credibility. Okay, and you are there, you are present when someone needed something to be done, and that is what is valuable. In fact, I'm there was one movie, I'm not sure if you guys have done. It would look, the male protagonist look really opportunistic. Okay, but he was able to gauge or decide what the other person looked. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this movie. It was called Luck by Chance. How many of you have seen that? And Farhan Akhtar was the protagonist in that. In that, there is one scene where Farhan Akhtar is actually looking for, acting work to come by that. There is one of his friends who is working with, a high profile director or producer. And this guy's problem is that by evening, he needs a grandfather clock. Okay, he's not looking for an actor, he's not looking for anything or all of this, but he is looking for a grandfather clock. Okay. And then this Farhan Akhtar, where he is residing, he actually takes that grandfather clock and tells this guy, this lady with whom he is staying as a PG, that I'm taking it to get it polished, and I will get it back to you by tomorrow morning. So he took that and created a favorable impression with the landlady with whom he was staying, and he gave it to his friend who was looking for that. So just think of what that immediate problem of that guy is. The immediate problem of the guy is not that he is looking for an actor, he is looking for a grandfather clock. And you solve the immediate problem of that person. So now he is in a favorable zone, and he invited Farhan Akhtar then to, a party or a promo that he was going to give contacts and access to everyone else. So what is the immediate problem that someone is facing, and it's pinching them? If that's where you can hit and that's where you go and solve that, it will be a hit, because like you took out someone from a soup that they were in. That's it. Okay, you do that. I had one guy, who was facing her in this situation. He was looking for a specific notification and try as much as he couldn't find it. Okay, and he looked at, that was all he was looking for. He was not looking for legal services. He was not looking for anything else. He was only looking for that one immediate relief of finding that thing, so that he could go ahead with that business. Now, if you're dropping everything and you're helping that to look at that particular problem, if you think at that point of time that he doesn't need legal services, why should I be bothered? And I have done that also in the past. Okay, and I have failed. I have drastically failed because of that. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I was working with a I was my dad was, in the buildings society committee. Okay, and for a certain period of time there was nobody actually to write accounts for a particular period of time, and I got the thing to write the accounts. It was an unpaid assignment, obviously, nothing you would get for doing that. And I was like, I'm not going to get anything for this. How do I need to be really bothered, and why do I need to do it really precisely and all of that? Okay, so I didn't do a great job at it. I had just worked on it, and I didn't work on it that well. But it was a big regret that I had. If I had taken up and if I had proved that, the people in that committee were all really like, there was a chartered accountant who had an exceptional practice. There was someone who was a very senior professional who, worked with that. So if I had taken up that and delivered on that assignment, that was the immediate problem that they were facing. They didn't have someone to do that. They were not looking for a lawyer. They were immediately looking for someone to solve this problem. So if you solve that problem, then for your next assignments where you deliver the services, also people will come to you. Okay? So these are some things which can definitely happen. But this is the way. So immediate problem if someone has and you identified, that, don't think that I'm a lawyer. So how can I solve this immediate problem? Think of how you can solve that immediate problem. And then, you get services as a lawyer also. They'll come to you because you got them out of that soup at that point of time, right? Yeah. So, like I said, even if you don't get the work, you keep in touch by sending the relevant information and materials to them. Okay. So you don't lose it. Don't lose touch with them. And there can be things. There can be work that will come at a later point of time. Okay. Some point something will happen, and it will turn out. My principal, who actually became a civil judge, and she's actually a very famous person. I'm not going to name her, but she was a judge, and she used to say that if you have if you have sown something, na, something will crop out of it. Okay, so if you have taken efforts to sow, कुछ बोया तो कुछ तो उगेगा, like may not like be at your expectations immediately, but something will crop up. So like that. Any questions that you guys have, like if you're thinking from the perspective of the client and how to get to them? As a student, if I can draft a rent agreement, then how can I find clients and convince them? So it's not like you are looking or finding for clients. This is not like कि बकरा पकड़ना है, like that's what the back of the mind is. Don't do like that. Okay, so there will be lots of people who are in the society that you are living in your family, in your relatives, in your friends, who may be renting. Okay, so then you go and you tell these people that I will review your rent agreement for free. There may be brokers in your society or nearby your society. You go and tell them that I will review it for free. ओके, आप फ्री में रिव्यू करके आपको दे दूंगा. आई टेल यू वेयर इट गेट्स रजिस्टर्ड. दे मे बी नोइंग ऑल ऑफ दोस थिंग्स आल्सो, बट द वे यू पुट इट, एंड इफ यू pointed out something to them that देखो मैंने पहले I had done something, these are some points that can happen. You have to know how it happens. ये चीजें होती है, ये इश्यू क्रॉप अप हो सकता है. यू कैन टॉक टू देम लाइक दैट. Okay, and you can offer to review things for free initially. I will review it for free, say that. Okay, they may not even come to give you drafting, but say that I will review it for free. So if it is family, relatives, okay, or nearby people somewhere, neighbors, एक बार तो they will think that free में review हो रहा है, तो problem क्या है, like there's no downside to it, because you are not drafting them and spoiling it for them. You are only reviewing it. So if they are getting some another opinion or getting someone to check that, there's no downside to them. Make them safe. Okay, there is no downside to you. You don't have to pay money. You don't have to risk your transaction. Okay, and this is only an additional service that you can get. So you have nothing to lose. Okay, and if there is something that comes up, everything that you have to gain. Okay, so then like if you're reviewing that and working on that, and if you can say that how about we draft this like this, okay, wouldn't it be better for you? If you are able to point those things out, it's value. Then they'll come back to review one more and say कि 5 review free में करके दूंगा. Then after that I charge this much for reviewing it and this much for drafting it. Okay, so that's how you take it. Like there's no downside to them. रिस्क क्या है आपसे रिव्यू करवाने में? Okay, they're not paying you money, they're not risking their transaction because you're not drafting it. So what is wrong? Like they have everything to gain from it. So make them safe like that, and you can pitch like that. Okay, okay, any questions? Any other questions that you have? Any other questions? Anyone? See, it may look like cumbersome that how will someone trust? How will this happen? But if you are smart enough, if you have worked on some work, you get someone else to speak something about you. Is very bright. Okay, he's done this. He understands law very well. College में अच्छा काम कर रहा है. Whatever it is, like you get people who are trust, who they trust to speak something about you. Then they will come and they'll give you. Okay. Fahad, does that answer your question? You can only locate people from near, like the circle that you have, right? Brilliant. Okay, guys. So we are already at 6-7. Thank you so much for being with me. I hope I was like able to share something that was of use to you, like where you will be able to deal with this. But that's the policy that we have, that often we are thinking only from our perspective and we are not thinking about what it is to the client, right? But we have to think from that side, and that's how we are going to be able to do. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.